And joining us this morning is Deputy Speaker Ronaldo Puno. Good morning to you, Congressman Puno.
Hello, good morning, Karen. Thank you for having me.
All right, so is Speaker Martin Romualdez resigning or is he taking a leave of absence?
Okay, well, about 3 weeks or so ago, Martin Romualdez convened the House party leaders, and he told us that he wanted to step aside. This is like 3 weeks ago, and he said that the reason for this was he said there's just too much controversy in the House already now, and it's affecting the work that everybody's doing. He says. Everybody's focused, of course, on the controversies on the flood control projects. And he felt that he needed to step aside and face the accusations and rumors regarding whatever was happening in the flood control area. Of course, the party leader said, we don't think that's a good idea. Please do not resign. And it went on for about another week and a half. Sometime last week, one of the party leaders suggested that, Speaker, it's hard for us if you leave now because there's going to be just so much disorganization in the House already. So why don't you consider going on leave? No, in the House rules, a leave is allowed for the Speaker, and during his absence, the deputy speakers elect among themselves someone who will take over the functions of the Speaker. No. So it was it was there for a while. Last weekend, Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, evening, he texted me and he says, I think it's time for me to go. He says, thank you for your support. This last Saturday. I didn't see it until the following morning because apparently it's very late at night when he texted that. He must have been unable to sleep. So I discussed this with him the following morning and I told him, it may not be the best time. I think that we don't do these things when things are in total, confusion, which is partly the situation now. So he said, well, okay, let me think about it a little bit more. And so then Monday came, and then he became more definite about it. So he says, I'm thinking I'll maybe at least go and leave and then maybe name some potential officers in charge or somebody that will take care of business while I'm on leave. So then he was talking about certain possibilities, Deputy Secretary Bojidi among them. No? And then yesterday morning, he calls me up again and he says, I'm going to see the president this afternoon at 3 p.m. He says, I think we're going to be discussing, my going on leave or leaving the house. He says, I think we need to settle this already. He says. I said, well, again, I said our belief, our opinion among the House party leaders is, don't resign, just go and leave, no? And then think about it, and you can resign after if you think that that's the correct decision. So he goes to Malacanang and then he calls for us to assemble at his office, the party leaders, at 4:30, and he arrives a few minutes after that. And then he tells us already, this says, he thanked everyone for working with him and spending energy and time to push forward the House agenda. Then he says, I told the president already that I'm resigning my position tomorrow, which is today. So we said, why not leave? He says, well, if I go on leave, he says, people will say, he's coming back. Oh, he's just on the side. He's still directing things. And it's not going to solve the problem, he says. So if we're going to do this, we might as well cut clean, he said. And I want to do this also so that I can face all of these accusations. I'll go before any investigation, he says. I can defend myself. I'm not hiding anything. I'm not afraid of any inquiries, he says. So let's just do that, he said. And then I'll continue to be congressman. I'll serve the district. But I will leave all of these suspicions to all of you people. And he says, of course, I will help whenever you need me to, but it's time to turn the page, he says. And then I'm asking all of you to support the nominee that I have discussed already with our majority leader. He says it's Deputy Speaker Boji D.
Okay.
You know, we were quiet for a while. No, nobody was reacting, but after a while, obviously, I mean, we just decided to accept his decision.
So, Congressman, you gave us the behind-the-scenes story. 3 weeks ago, he meets with all of you, thinks of going on leave. Yesterday, he has a meeting with Malacanang, and it became about resigning.
Wait,
Do you believe? Go on.
sorry, 3 weeks ago, he said, I'm stepping aside. That was not,
Not leave.
that leave came, the idea came last week from one of the party leaders. So, no, I think he was thinking about resigning already 3 weeks, at least 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Do you believe there was pressure from Malacanang for him to resign?
I think there was pressure from everywhere. You know, I mean, there's media, there's social media. Of course, not everybody in the house is a believer. We have had problems with the executive branch, as you know, and so there've been a lot of issues, no, that cause problems for the speaker. And these are very trying times. You know, this is a difficult time in our political life. No, I mean, I'm sure you also are seeing so many unprecedented things happening as I am now. No? I mean, so yeah, I think pressures for sure. Yeah, for sure.
But do you believe the speaker wanted to stay and President Marcos Jr. asked him to resign? Or he took it upon himself that with everything that's going on, I should resign or step aside?
You know, knowing the president also, I think, you know, he probably would not want to cause, you know, anxiety on anyone. So I cannot imagine him asking the speaker to resign, for example. I can't imagine that. I think the president, if I know him well enough, I think he allows you to process your thoughts, and he may guide you and lead you to certain decisions. But I really don't think that he would ask the speaker to resign. No. And as I said, you know, it's not just the speaker himself. But even he tells me that his family have been telling him to just step aside. You know, this is true not just for him, Karen, but for other congressmen as well, especially those that have been mentioned in all of these controversies. One of our colleagues has in fact put her children on a leave of absence from school because they are being harassed in school because their parents' name have appeared in this news. No, so and I have
mga anak ba to ni Zaldico, sir?
No. In fact, congressmen that I think are probably not guilty of anything. No, I mean, but they were just included in the lists. No, and I imagine that the speaker's family has been subjected to the same kind of pressure. So, and I know for a fact that they have been asking him to resign, his family. No, I mean, at least step aside from the speakership because it's really a lot to take for the family, you know, on a daily basis. You know, Speaker Martin tells us that, you know, it's okay with him because he grew up with this. No, I mean, when he was a young kid, you know, they would go to breakfast and they would read newspapers, and it's all, you know, negative against their family, and it's been that way for a long time. So he says, you know, I can take all of this, but you know, I don't know that it's fair to subject my children to this. So that's one of the things.
The children is one thing, but also the administration is another.
Correct.
I mean, the truth, Congressman, is he gives a bad name to the Marcos administration. That's feedback from analysts. Would you agree?
Well, you know, I'll just give you a specific example. No, in this January this year, December and January, this is when the issue of the budget insertions erupted, and he was the one blamed. Okay, everybody was saying Romualdez. I mean, not Saldico, not anybody, Romualdez. No. But I knew then, no, in as early as January, that the Congress had submitted to the Senate the budget that was proper. No, I mean that it did not reduce the Department of Education budget. It kept the PhilHealth trust funds intact, and it in fact reduced the DPWH budget. Of course, the final Appropriations Act was the reverse. No, the trust fund was removed. The Department of Education was reduced, and then the DPWH was increased by a few hundred. Yun, no? So I knew then that it wasn't Congress and it wasn't him, because the enrolled copy of the bill was submitted.
But are you saying it wasn't? I mean, you saw Toby Tiangco's expose, or Zaldico had insertions of
Yeah.
13 billion in one district.
Correct. No, that's true. All of that is true. I'm talking about the culpability of Martin Romualdez.
Okay.
So I was asking, why don't you explain this thing? Why don't you just explain everything? He says, no, I don't want to get into an argument with the Senate President, because he is doing many things for the President also. And I'll just swallow all of this. He says, anyway, I'm used to this. Ganyan eh. So anytime that he faces these kinds of things, he always says, I'm used to this. Now, this issue has been on his back for what, the past 7 months. Until I started to explain what happened in this thing, I think nobody was even talking about it. No, and I thought that it was not fair. No, and even over his objections, I started talking about this because he didn't want to get into any dispute with the Senate. But I think this is part of the reason why he has become so much a target for everyone. No, is that when something is an attack is made on the administration, and he is the target, he allows it to happen because
well, Congressman, I mean, I understand you work with him, but I think we need to hold our leaders accountable. He is the Speaker of the House. The budget emanates from the House. There are talks of ostentatiousness and extreme wealth, private planes, supposedly more than 10 houses in Forbes Park. I'm sorry I have to bring this up, but to defend the Speaker that he's a victim in all this, it's appalling to the Filipino people. At the end, he would not even explain the corruption in the budget that he allowed. The House passed it, Congressman. In the end, we are talking about the public being angry of the ostentatiousness and extreme wealth of Martin Romualdez, Zaldico. This is not the time of the wealth you and I have seen in past administrations. Galit na tayo nun kay GMA, kay ERAP, etc. This is a whole other level of alleged corruption. This could be the levels of Nepal.
Yeah.
That kind of anger, which I hope not, but at the end of the day, when you hear about homes abroad, I mean, Congressman, it's very difficult to defend Martin, who was in power, unless he submits his SALED. He explains. Stepping aside, I don't think is enough for the Filipino people. I mean, it's not personal to me. I'm not angry at him personally, but as a leader, this is inexcusable. Parang biktima pa siya na ang bait niya, gusto niyang tumabi.
No, actually, I think, the reason for his stepping aside is precisely because he wants to address and face all of this. Okay, so I think I'm not painting anyone as a victim here. I was just addressing that issue in terms of propaganda. No? I mean that when he is attacked, he doesn't always answer. So that is why he gets blamed for some things that are really not his fault. Now, as to the things that are his fault, I guess that is why he is stepping aside now and not just going on leave so that he can face it. No, and I think it's good that he will face it. All of these things, the houses,
But why won't the insertions in the 2025 budget, why won't it be his fault? I mean, doesn't the buck stop with the leader?
I think
ano nang tinuturo natin, sir?
Well, here's the process of budget. As I explained earlier, the House version did not have the insertions. It went to the Senate. The Senate and the Congress had a bicameral committee. The bicameral committee was composed of many representatives. Then they decided to make it a small committee. The small committee was 4 people. Okay, Senate President Chis Escudero, Speaker Romualdez, Senator Grace Poe, and Congressman Saldico.
Oh.
That was the small committee. The small committee went into their meetings. This is where the insertions were put in, by the way. No?
Yun. So nandun po siya.
No,
Nandun siya eh.
the speaker did not attend those meetings. Senator Grace Poe was not allowed to attend most of those meetings. It ended up Saldico and Senate President Escudero were the ones that actually penciled in whatever needed to be penciled in at the end. And if you know, Karen, if you look at the budget, there are 20,000 DPWS projects, 20,000. So, it takes a lot of, real painstaking work to do it. But it was the two that actually finalized those things. And that is what I'm saying did not come to light until just recently. This is the situation everybody knew was the case as early as January. So now,
Congressman, is it right to say that Zaldico and are you saying Chis Escudero are frankly to blame for the 2025 budget?
Yes. Because then the version that they sent back to the House already included all the insertions. Now that's a bicameral thing, but that's the step in the budget process where the Senate reviews what the House of Representatives does, and then gets back to them with the final version of the Appropriations Act, which they then forward to the President for approval. But then again, okay, so you signed it, you approved it. Yeah, 20,000 projects, no? I mean, I don't. I've seen the budget. No, I could not find for the life of me my own projects in my district. In the General Appropriations Bill. That's how complicated it is. So if you sign after you assume that the staff work has been done, I think it's a fair assumption that you had at least minimal care in addressing the issue. But the ones that really were responsible for putting it in should be held responsible also. And I think that's what also triggered, I guess, the reorganization in the Senate, no? Because they know now.
Okay.
I understand that with the investigations coming up in the Senate, more information will come up about so many things. So I'm looking forward to the Blue Ribbon investigations there as well.
Now, Congressman Puno, Zaldico is still abroad, right? The perception is the speaker has tolerated Zaldico, right? And he could have called him to answer because there's a hearing in the House. He could have called him to answer about SunWest's contracts, insertions, but he didn't. Ano ang plano with Zaldico, sir? At the end of the day, he's been absent, right? For so long.
The speaker does not participate in committee deliberations, no. So it's actually the job of the committee to invite, to summon, to their hearings, no. So I leave that matter to the Public Accounts Committee. But what is the plan on Zaldico? Well, we in Congress we're saying that he should be brought back forcibly if necessary.
Really?
Yes, I mean, initial reports were that he was in the U.S. Now, then I saw some posts where he is supposed to be in a house. He changed his name and things like that, no. But in the U.S. we can extradite people, and what is important now is that cases need to be filed, no. We need to fight. Karen, this is not a legislative inquiry issue anymore.
Yeah.
I think this is a criminal thing, no. I mean. Cases have to be filed, and that's why the investigative commission is, right on. Because you have Benji Magalong there, Mayor Magalong, who is a no-nonsense person. I know Babe Singson, Secretary Singson, who is also no-nonsense, And the way that this commission has been formed looks like, they're really, going to file some cases, The technical know-how necessary is with Babe Singson, with Secretary Singson. The legal know-how is with Supreme Court Justice Andres Reyes. Investigative competence is with Mayor Magalong. And the finance, these budgets things, etc. We have a very respected accountant who is going to be doing the work there. So it's structured to really address this problem properly. I hope that we can get this commission up and running as soon as possible. And I really hope that the cases will be filed and people will be jailed. No? Now, in that regard, I think the House is now going to terminate its investigations. There's this talk that we cannot investigate ourselves, and that's true. I agree with that too. So maybe it's good that they're now terminating their investigations and they will turn over all their information to the investigative commission. I hear also that that Senator Lacson will continue his Blue Ribbon investigations, and that's great. I think that then we will just take our cue from the Senate. If there's any legislative implication to everything that's going on, then we will yield to the Senate in terms of what reforms they want to institute in our whatever budget process or whatever it is, so that we can avoid this situation in the future.
Okay. Now, Congressman, let's go back to the leadership. There were talks in the past of a possible Albi Benitez. There was one Toby Tiangco. But Congressman Tiangco said he wouldn't want to be speaker because of his expose. But I wanted to ask you, why didn't the Albi Benitez work? And now it's Congressman Bogie D. Ba't hindi natuloy yun at ito mukhang si Congressman Bogie D na ang magiging speaker? Anong difference nung panahon na yon at ngayon?
Well, I don't know if Congressman Mayor Albi Benitez was able to sort out his issues with his Negros coalition there. I think even that's why it didn't have a flying start, because he had problems in his own province to begin with. No, maybe that's what stalled him. Now, in the case of Deputy Secretary Bogie D, si DS Bogie D is a former governor, and he's a really nice guy. I mean, he was an effective governor, and he's a very pleasant person. He's kind to everybody. So I would like to say he's popular, within his circle. And he belongs to the party of the president. So I think it's important also now that, and maybe the speaker thought about this also, that, better that party of the president, so that at least there is no communication distance between the national program as espoused by the president and his cabinet and the House. No, and I think that's what might happen. And in that regard, I think it's probably a good direction to go.
Okay, so will the speaker only be changed? Because now I would say NUP, you are with NUP, sir.
Yes.
And Bogie D's with NUP. And the irony, Kiko Braganza's with NUP, but let's talk about that later. He's with NUP, right? Okay, but
no, sorry, DS Bogie D is with PFP. That's the Partido Federal. Yeah, of the president. Yeah.
Hindi siya member ng NUP.
No.
As I've read, no. Hindi yon.
No.
Hindi siya NUP. Okay.
I wish, pero no.
Okay, all right. So, there were talks that the reform shouldn't just be on top, but it should be top to bottom. So, ang tanong ko nito, will the APRO be changed? Will committee chairmanships be changed?
The APRO has already been changed. No? I mean, our APRO chairperson now is Congresswoman Mika Swansing, who is a second-term Congresswoman. She's I understand, a Harvard graduate, no? And very, very, very skilled. And I have said this in the past. She is beyond reproach. She is well respected in the House. So, and I think by everyone in general. So that one has been solved. No? The Appropriations Committee. And even the vice chairman, of course, have also been all reorganized. No? So that's doing well. I think the Ways and Means Committee of the House is fine. Of course, we just came from a general reorganization for the 20th Congress, because in the 19th Congress, everybody was, left their positions, and now there's a completely new cast of characters here, no, and many of them are young. many of them are really, you know, in my view, I think they're very, very competent. I'm actually impressed by many of the young congressmen that we have there, and I'm just very sorry that they get implicated in all of these, you know, scandals that have affected the House. I hope that the 20th Congress will prove to be a different one, no, and will show the public that there is a standard of behavior and competence and honesty and integrity that is what they expect from us, no. And I think I'm confident that with the cast of committee chairman that we have, that we're going to be able to portray that and actually practice that.
Actually, hearing you right now, I mean, I've known you for many years. Of course, I've known you for many years. You were already working with politicians many, many years ago. You're deputy speaker. And my question on a lighter note is, why didn't you speak more before? You speaking out could have helped the image of Congress.
Well,
why were you so quiet is my question.
So I just got in, you know, I mean, I just came back to Congress with the 20th Congress. I've been away from government service for 15 years, you know. But then when I saw all of these West Philippine Sea issues, you know, and the continuing constitutional problems, you know, I felt that, you know, maybe I might be able to contribute something in one term that that will be meaningful and will give my life a sense of fulfillment, you know. So that's why I decided to come back to Congress. I asked my brother to allow me to replace him for one term.
Okay. Now, Congressman, did Speaker Martin Romualdez have conditions with his resignation? For example, ang iba kasi merong mga kondisyon. O, eto pinili ko. Is it right to say he chose Bogie D?
No, I think Bogie D has been, you know, one of the principal leaders of PFP. No, if there were like it's like picking a horse for a race, diba? So everybody knows that the party leaders, we are the ones that will be put into the race if there is a race. And since there was already a feeling that you know, we need to maybe attune better with the presidential directives and programs, no. I think Bogie D became more vocal in our discussions and meetings because he represents the president's party. No? So no, I think I heard, you know, we discussed Bogie D like weeks ago, not just now. It's just arriving sa public attention now, but no.
So
tagal na namin pinag-usapan niya.
So hindi po ang Pangulo ang nagdikta na si Bogie D ang gusto kong kapalit?
No, I suspect that this was discussed between the majority leader and the speaker muna. And then because the majority leader is also PFP. He's the party mate of DS Bogie D. And then they probably brought this to the president, this idea, which I'm sure he found a good idea. So that's when, yeah.
Now, do you all stay? For example, the deputy speakers, forgive me, but are you 9 now? There was one point, I think there were 11 or 14. How many are you today, sir?
We're actually 10.
You're 10.
Yeah, and yeah, well, I guess we'll be 9 after, you know, this. But or no, we're 11, then we're 10 now. Sorry.
Because and you all remain. Do you all remain as deputy speaker?
Well, for now, the only vacancy is maybe this afternoon, if the Speaker Romualdez finalizes his decision, there will only be one because the one deputy speaker will go up, and I'm almost sure that PFP will designate another one to replace Deputy Speaker Bogie D. And I think by and large, because we all belong to the majority, obviously, if we vote for him, we are still in the majority, you know, and that's how the House committees are organized and everything else. It's on the basis of majority. So by and large, I think it will remain the same.
Okay. Now, I wanted to ask you, with your experience in politics, let's go back to a bit of history. Is Martin Romualdez the first speaker to resign?
Well, there have been speakers, of course, that were replaced, no?
Yeah.
I don't recall anybody really resigning. to be honest. I think that the speakers that were prior to this administration that were replaced generally did not give in until the last possible moment, no? Until when the votes, for example, were already on the other side. This is the only situation I know where the votes are still with the speaker, and he
Yes.
decides to leave the position. Yeah.
Now, you are considered as the elder statesman in Congress. How could Congress restore its image? How at this point? What would you suggest for the people to have faith in the lower house again? You've heard the jokes, di ba? Nako, pag congressman, buhaya yan. Tapos ang joke, huwag nyo naman insultuin yung buhaya. Di ba? Ganoon ang mga biro, sir. Parang yun naman insultuin ang buhaya, kawawa naman. Di ba? What would you do? What would you recommend?
Really tough question, no? Because this perception of congressmen has been built up over many years, no? I mean, it's not new. It's just gotten worse, no? And then you're finally seeing evidence of, as you say, the ostentation, and all of that, no? Like in your face type thing, di ba? So, one, I think that cases have to be filed, and people have to go to jail. I mean, if nobody goes to jail, then it's just business as usual, no? So, if there is criminal liability anywhere, I hope that people will actually end up in jail. That's one, no, congressman or not. Number two, I think we have to start thinking about the image that we portray before people, no? And then some things are unintentional. For example, in our plenary sessions, for example, everybody is required to have a barong, long barong, no, and all of that, no. In Singapore, when they go to the Congress, they dress in work clothes. Okay? So maybe that's one suggestion I will make, no. Pwede ba polo barong na lang para hindi na masyadong bihis patay. Yung parang mapambukol. Wag na yun, ano. Let's simplify our lifestyle, no. I might suggest to the speaker that, if you see any foreign sports cars coming into the Congress compound, maybe they should be confiscated, no? Mga ganon, no? I mean, let's not parang push the button there, no? Kasi we know naman what things irritate people, eh. Kung yung sobrang yabang, alam mo, and flaunting, things that are crazy, no? Ako, like for example, I really love my Apple Watch.
Yeah, it works.
I will not charge them for but I cannot understand why people will need to use millions of pesos worth of what. Now you hit it on a table and that's a 300,000 peso damage right there, no?
Okay.
Why? No, bakit naman, no? So maybe if we see a Congress where with the
tama, more modest lifestyle.
Yes,
Napakaganda ng punto nyo.
Yes.
And the irony, talagang nakasaad po yun sa batas.
Correct. That's what I was
Nakasaad na yun.
Tama eh. That's also another reason why I want the ethics committee to start thinking about the standards that they will require from our members. Kasi there's none eh. We don't have anything of that sort. No, nothing in any great detail. That's one thing I think is necessary also. I mean, what is ostentation? When do you cross the line?
Yeah.
It should be very clear. And when you cross the line, you should not be rewarded, di ba?
So, speaking of that, the ethics committee, ang tanong ko ito, sir, gusto nyo na paimbestigahan si Kiko Barzaga, right? Si Congressman Barzaga, who suddenly said, I want to be speaker. Okay, what is it about him? He is a party mate. I've seen the posts on social media na niyayakap niya ang pera, parang romantic on a weekend, tapos hawak niya yung pera nandun sa drawer. Yeah, what is going on? No, the public doesn't really know him well.
Yeah. That's part of the standards of behavior that I want to be brought to light and to focus by everyone. And it's not just that. It's not just the lewd photos that he posts. No, it's the behavior in Congress. No, I mean barging into people's offices. Total lack of decorum. No, but again, he is the son of one of our closest friends and allies in the NUP. His father helped me found and organize this party. He has a special place with us. That's why there were some misgivings. As I said already, and I don't want to emphasize it too much, but he's really unwell. No, I mean, and we knew this from the start, but we didn't know how this would go. No,
Yeah.
and when he was recommended by the chapter of Dasmariñas Cavite, obviously we just took him in, and I signed this certificate of nomination and acceptance, ISCONA, for his candidacy. And we, the first couple of months he was quiet. He was not talking to anyone. He's actually a loner, and he would just be by himself, eating lunch at the lounge, on his cell phone and stuff. No, so it was all simply like that. And then I was surprised actually when this whole thing started, because it just started when some people were saying, "Oh, si Kiko is saying, people should sign a petition against the speaker." Our party, we cannot do those things in a frivolous manner. Because, like, for example,
It's a party decision.
did that, we expelled him, no? Because you cannot bring the other members of the party into a precarious situation and not care about what the consequences of what you do. No? So we just thought that we would ask him what was going on.
Oo.
So he was asked. Then he said, "No, that's not true. I'm not doing that. Who's accusing me of that?" Then he says, after a short minute, he says, "Well, I'm going to leave the party." Like that. I'm going to leave the party.
Did he leave the party?
Well, verbally, he, but again, I verbally accepted it also.
Okay.
But before he left, I asked for a meeting with him.
Okay.
I had not talked to him previously. I mean, he's been in the Congress for 2 months. It's hi, hello. He doesn't really talk to anyone. So I asked to talk to him. And I think it was about 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon. He went to my office and we talked. And I was, being very fatherly with him because, he's the son of my friend, no? And I was telling him, maybe you want to, think about it a little bit more because your father is one of our founders, And there's really nothing there's no problem at all. No? I said, it's just the normal inquisitiveness of people, And I don't think you should take it personally. And he was, he was just nodding his head, and then he didn't say very much, but then he came to a point where he says, "Well, Chairman," he says, "I think it's better for both of us, myself and the party, if I just leave."
Okay.
I said, "Have you thought about this?" He says, "Yes." Well, sabi ko, "If you have," sabi ko, "well, we'll respect your decision and I wish you well." I said, "No, and good luck. And don't be a stranger." I said, "Nandito lang kami."
So technically, verbally,
I'm sorry.
no, technically, verbally, he's left the party.
Well, he also texted our secretariat. No? But then after that, he goes and has a press statement and announces that he's leaving the party because I accused him of soliciting signatures, which was not at all in our conversation. Okay. And then he goes on into his rant about the speaker, which was not in our conversation either. So it came out of, left field for me. Talagang, kawawa naman. I really feel bad about this entire thing, but I think it has to translate into a higher level of communication, which is, what are the standards of behavior for this thing?
So I know, Congressman, you have to go, but I think the question with Kiko Barazaga is this. So number one, just very quick answers. Most likely, will he be expelled from the party? It's a yes or no for that.
From the party, yes. From the House, no.
Oh, yun. So ang tanong ko sa House, can he be expelled as a congressman with his behavior? If not expelled, what is the punishment or the penalty? When tama kayo, I agree with you. You can't have congressmen posting, embracing money, women over them. I mean, I agree with behavior completely. You are in public office. Good on that. Anong pwedeng gawin sa kanya, sir?
Well, full range of sanctions, no? He can be sanctioned, no? He can be suspended. Expulsion is a very, very extreme consequence. It happened with Congressman Tevez, if you will remember.
Yes, oo, pero nagtago yun.
Grabe yun.
Oo.
It's hardly ever done, ano. He can be called down, and then asked to rectify, Maybe he will bring down his posts, and then stop his inflammatory statements, and then we'll be fine. I mean, then he maybe get away with the reprimand, and then that will be it. I hope it will be just ending in something like that. And in the process, we will have the definition by the ethics committee on the behavioral standards expected of us in accordance with the law. So ganun lang sana. But it's hard kasi, Karen, he kind of does not accept the traditions of Congress, the rules there. Kumbaga, bara-bara talaga. Walang there are no bounds in his world, and I feel bad kasi again he's the son of our colleagues kasi. So that said, I hope something will turn out well for everyone there. And I hope that the Committee on Ethics will deal with this thing properly. Kami naman, we feel responsible for bringing him into the Congress, and we want to show the rest of Congress that we own up to the problems that we caused them. That's why we're filing this as a party. No?
Okay. All right. Last words. I think the budget, the transparency in the budget, that's the key for 2026 and until the end of the term of President Marcos Jr. Are there going to be changes in how the budget is made from the lower house? Like kayo po, sir, galit ba kayo sa small committee na yon? Anong pagbabago ang gusto niyo sa budget?
Well, there have been a few already, media is allowed to the deliberations. There have been invitations to civil society groups to join in the deliberations. There will be no more small committee, and if there is a BICAM, everybody will be invited to watch the BICAM. It might be broadcast live, So the transparency, the visibility is going to be there. But like I said, the budget is a very complicated document. 20,000 projects yan. It's this thick, Kung may magpapalusot dyan, talagang baka makalusot, So I think vigilance, Karen, vigilance then, among us in Congress that really are not happy with the way things have been done, I think we should be more vigilant and exercise more energy, put in more energy to trying to spot these things, and also the general public, and I think also dissemination of the documents. So, for example, in my district, ever since when I was first congressman some years ago, I used to post the projects in my district in our bulletin board. And then we had like a parang progress
report.
And then I would get barangay cabs. We would go physically to the projects, And I think that's what most congressmen do anyway. Hindi lang nakikita that's what they do. Kasi what people don't understand is that the projects that are there are demanded from us by the barangay captains, by the local government. So sa akin, accountability talaga. We have to make ourselves accountable. Open the doors, open the windows. Just let air come into this whole exercise and be in touch with our people, And then also be in touch, of course, with the public and understand the need for more information from the public and more disclosures and really yung honest explanations on what things are going on. No secrets, no dark rooms, ganun.
I like that. No secrets, no dark rooms. Thank you so much for joining me today, Congressman Ronnie Puno. I